Welcome to For Yore, the show where we bring you interesting people and compelling stories. We hope you enjoy this episode. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and share with your friends.
Sit and post.
Got it.
Got it.
Got it.
There needs to be a sound for that, huh? Just like on the elevator going down, there needs to be a got it.
You just made it right there.
Yeah.
That's it. You've got the most professional announcer voice out of all of us.
Somebody write Zoom and
Yeah.
tell them.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, this show has started itself, and I'm pleased to be a part of it. I'm John Adamick, and I'm here for Yore. This is a little bit of a sidetrack from my normal approach to my introduction, where I try to do a really official sounding voice. And the reason for that is because my guests today are really good at doing voices. So it would make no sense for me to try to do that voice. If you're interested in hearing that voice, you can go back to the other episodes or the one after this. But today we have in our podcast studio by Zoom, Roshelle Simpson, Megan Selke, and George Nowik. These are three of the nicest people I've met. True story. And I know a lot of people. And they're all famous in different ways. And they have people that dedicate quality time to hear them give wisdom on voice acting. I'm going to go ahead and read what they prepared for this interview. This is the bio that they selected. Remember, they chose this. Roshelle Simpson.
Oof.
I'm an Egyptian American voice actor and singer born and raised in Southern California.
Oh.
As a woman with ADHD who loves to read, but had a hard time focusing as a kid, I learned that reading in character was the best way for me to engage with the text and retain information. I owned and operated a personal chef business for nearly a decade. I'm a podcast junkie, and my all-time favorite is No Stupid Questions by Freakonomics Radio. But I also love Armchair Expert. The two things I love most in the world, other than my husband and my children, are learning and comedy. The more I learn, the more I realize how little I know. The more I need to laugh it off. Roshelle Simpson, thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much.
And the crowd goes wild.
That was gold. All right.
And dude, that's like not even like a quarter of her amazingness, but you know, we can't spend the whole show just talking about Roshelle.
We can, but
We're going to always just direct it to Roshelle.
This is part one.
She's down here for me.
Whatever this turns into, part one, so we can come back later for accolades.
Yeah.
And that leads us to Megan Selke. Megan says that she's loved singing and acting her whole life and finally found a career with her passion a couple years ago. She has voiced several commercials, explainer videos, a couple of video games, and am one of the primary voices for a guided tour app. Megan Selke, thank you for being here today.
Megan. Sorry, okay.
This is the encouragement that people get when they come onto your Clubhouse, and we'll talk about that later.
Oh.
George Nowik. George says he is a bald baritone voice actor who won the Clubhouse co-host lottery with Roshelle and Megan and has successfully navigated the community of other voice actors by riding upon their coattails. When not coming up with wacky radio stingers or a bad game day ideas, he loves providing voices for commercials, games, and even weird internal medical training programs. He has a lightsaber and is not afraid to use it. George also works in the field of durable medical equipment via a family business that is celebrating 50 years of existence. Congratulations to you guys, George. He likes to joke that the family business is the older, less neglected sibling. In his spare time, he likes to fiddle with musical instruments, dabble in electronics, and embarrass his family in public. It's my pleasure to welcome George Nowik. George, thanks for being here.
George. But we have to like just say that we ride on George's coattail. That was all like half of that. That first half was just a lie.
I ride on both of theirs. I mean, they both got pretty massive, like nice coattails that are very durable and can hold my weight. So
just like, you know.
Y'all, they lie like a rug.
Coattails.
There's no truth to anything they're saying right there.
This is the thing. None of us
exist because of them.
No, none of us could exist, I think, the way we do without the other, but George does most of the work, let's be honest.
George does most of the work. I'll be honest about that part. But like Roshelle is like the networking genius. Like she's like a ninja. Just reaches out to people in like the most cool, casual way. And then like they're like friend and people just reach out to her. They're like, oh my God, you're totally amazing, because she is. And like, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. She's like a stealth networking ninja who has zero fear about contacting anyone and everyone. And next thing we know, we're having guests on our thing that no one would ever think to have. Like Sam is an example. That was wow.
Oh, you guys. Sorry. I know. Everybody.
No, I love it. Is that, you know, one of the questions.
That's her alarm.
Oh.
Rise and shine.
I thought maybe you guys had a pre-planned interlude or something that was going to break out here. But,
no,
but that's fine.
George's responsibility. George handles all the music and tech stuff. He's the sound genius.
So, Corona. By the way, I love that. The Knack, they only spent $19,000 recording that album. My Sharona was a big hit. And Steve Corona, I think, is the logical organic sequel to that. And I applaud you guys. For those who don't know who that is or why we're talking about this person who sounds very cool, check out Clubhouse, the working voice actor, Clubhouse. And you mean, look at this.
Represent.
You know how you make a team?
You make
t-shirts.
Yeah.
That was all Megan. She made that happen.
Megan. She did. She actually surprised
the one
us
thing
with
I've
this
contributed
logo.
to this group. I was like, I was like, I'm doing this because they do everything else. I got us a logo and I made us shirts and I'm good for like another year and then I'll do something else.
That's so not true.
Wow.
I'll let you, but I will tell you Megan's extreme rule that would otherwise, like without it, we would be in trouble, right? Like we would get ourselves into trouble, George. Let's be real.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm the let's think about how this could go wrong, guys.
Well, no, she's always like, you guys, you're going to get in trouble for that. And we're like, what? Because George and I are like little bunnies. We're like excited about everything. Like, let's just do it and figure it out. And we'll just, deal with the consequences later. And Megan's like, no, that's like career ending.
That there is wisdom in those words. I work in risk management and human resources. I don't get invited out much. Matter of fact, you're my only friends.
Aww.
That's why I started the podcast, was to make friends. And my wife said, go ahead, try. It's worth a try. 30 years, something will work. And so here we are. And some people may not understand the depth of the talent that you three have brought to the world of acting. I just want to briefly talk about how I connected with you guys. And a true story, I think. So my daughter's in acting and my son's in aerospace. So I've been, in addition to my own networking, I've been trying to learn more about those two fields. LinkedIn has a lot of smart people, so I connect with people and learn stuff. And I think I saw a video with Roshelle and doing something for your kids, and there was a doll and fruit and the DMV. And I want to say that I saw that and I said, I don't know who she is, but she's interesting.
Yes,
and I want to learn more. And then somebody, I think that's how I connected with you guys. And then I saw this Clubhouse thing. Roshelle, do you do a lot of those videos, and how's that going?
We wish she would do more. I'm just saying.
No, oh my gosh, I forgot that people watched those. So like, gosh, this was probably a year ago, maybe over a year ago. I was like, I'm gonna do just like a series of videos where I'm gonna put googly eyes on fruit or vegetables and like just give them a voice and make some kind of funny little skit or song or whatever. And I don't know, use whatever I had around, like my daughter's toys and stuff. And so, yeah, I did that DMV. That was the day that Ariel regretted becoming human. And I've done I don't even remember now. Oh, gosh, I've done like all sorts of just silly weird ones. So I have not done one in a very long time. I have maybe like 4 that I would share. I did one with pickles on the Pickledilly line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's a pickle company in North Carolina.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. There's a whole city named after it. It's a big deal.
What's it
Is
called?
it Pickle, North Carolina?
Mount Olive Pickle Company.
Oh, Mount Olive.
Oh.
Mount Olive.
Oh, we all know Mount Olive.
I don't know. I don't get out much.
They're like distributed globally, or well,
Yeah,
maybe
pretty
not
much.
globally, but nationally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I
Yeah,
get 'em.
we get them out here all the time.
Well, that's changed the rest of my interview. I
You
had
know,
no
I'm gonna
idea.
write that
Throw
down.
out the
I'm like,
notes.
I feel like they need a voice, and I already have their commercial, so I'll just send it to them.
Yes.
Segue.
Who's their creative director?
That's exactly right. Can you share a DMV announcement for us? With us?
Okay. All right. Now calling G11 at window number 17.
17.
That's very nice. We went to the DMV recently, and I was told 3 different times by my wife and the lady working there that I had to sit down. True story. There wasn't anybody else in line. Evidently, if you're going to do anything with the form, you can't do it at the counter, at least not around here. So your calming voice would be a welcome improvement, and I might send that to them in the suggestion field.
Oh, please
Nice.
do. I wonder now I don't know what DMVs sound like in other states. But yeah, that's what to me the California DMV sounds like.
Depends on the location, because sometimes you get the
Yeah.
really pleasant ones that don't sound quite as good as you, but pretty close. And then you got the other ones that are like 73, 105.
Yeah, like ours doesn't have an automated thing. It's more just like calling number 74747747 window 3, and you're like, "Oh, is that me? Is that you?"
And then they skip you right after
who's
that
gonna
because you didn't
go?
respond
I
quickly
had an
enough.
appointment. Does that matter? No, go sit down.
Of course not.
That's very close to what I experienced. Thank you for that. Megan, did I understand that you advertise as a Swiss Army knife of voice
I'm the Swiss
talent?
Army sound slinger.
Can you rap it for us? She has a rap.
I don't remember all the words. I mean, I wrote it, but I don't remember the words.
Well, so
something about glitter in my veins. Because
That
I love
tracks.
glitter.
and what's your favorite? Is it the spoon, the knife, the screwdriver? What part of the Swiss Army?
It depends on my mood. I mean, you know, sometimes you're in a spoon mood, and sometimes you're in a knife mood, and sometimes you're in a screwdriver mood.
Wow.
So it just depends on sometimes you're in a tweezer mood, you know. But I like the bigger the Swiss Army knife, the better. The more options, the better.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
you know, like I want to have an extra bag to carry it. If it fits in your pocket, it's lame. Doesn't have enough options.
My wife goes camping a lot, and she has always got the Swiss Army knife with the right stuff to do whatever it is she needs to do. So yeah. I'm a fan of Swiss Army knives. I think we all are, most of us.
Yeah.
Some
They're
people.
Awesome. Yeah.
George, you're doing a lot of things. I saw recently that you did a barbershop quartet, except there was only one person in that barbershop quartet.
Well, there are 4, but those 3 other guys are a bunch of divas. It's hard to get them to coordinate into anything. Just a bunch of jerks, I tell you what.
So I'd like to put the link to some of this stuff in there, but can you talk about why that aspect of performing is important to you?
Well, It kind of goes back to the late 90s when somebody sent me a recording of a barbershop quartet doing West Side Stories Tonight Tonight. And by the time they got to the end of that song, every hair on my body and my head, because I had them back then, was standing on end, and I was a bawling mess of emotion at what that felt like. And so immediately after that, I had to hunt down and figure out how I was going to do that for myself. And so I started a little over 20 years ago. The pandemic hit. You couldn't sing with anybody anymore because singing was one of the greatest ways to spread it. So all choruses and quartets and choirs shut down, and I needed the harmony fix. So I just started doing it on my own. And next thing I know, people like it, I guess.
I mean this
awesome.
sincerely. It's amazing. I shared it with my daughter. And I want my daughter to think I'm cool. So I hope that helps give perspective.
You are so cool. Oh my gosh.
Show her the next one coming up.
Yeah, there's one coming out this week that'll if she's familiar with any pop music, this one will actually resonate.
Well, okay, so I'll definitely watch for that. But you did the music and the production, everything for a song, I think that you did, Roshelle, Madonna.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was fantastic.
George did a lot of work. So the funny thing is we released that, like a few months ago, yes?
Something like that, yeah.
Now, we met very late in 2021, and we literally talked about it like in December of 2021, and we kind of started the project like maybe in January, February. And it just, because George put so much effort into getting the track like just right. I mean, he was doing everything by ear, and there are so many components. So I felt like I was just learning just from, he would send me little clips here and there. Like I finally found it was the strings that he really, and then the drum at the end that he was struggling to find the perfect sound. And so really it just took me like, I sang it one day and I sent him the recording. And then he just did this magic to pull it all together. And yeah, that was really fun. That was a cool
I just didn't want it to sound like a bad backing karaoke track. So I got it into my head that I wanted to try and actually recreate it as close as possible. And I figure when my phone would be sitting next to me and it would pop up saying, "Take a Bow" by Madonna, I figured I was close enough.
Yes, that is brilliant.
It was awesome. I love it.
Well, when it pops up like on my shuffle, I sometimes like I have to wait to hear the singing because the tracks are so spot on, or his track is so spot on that I can't tell which one it is until the singing comes in. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not Madonna.
Well, you guys are incredibly talented. I worked music retail for years. That's kind of what I did out of school and what brought me to North Carolina. I've listened to a lot of music. I'm not an expert, but I've heard a lot and I've sold a lot. And you guys are right up there with anybody, period. You could go on tour with somebody. I don't know who. The Waffle Tour. I want to go back to what you said briefly. Roshelle, you talked about how you guys met. So just to let folks know, you three are in different parts of the country. You have a shared vocation, and you are ambassadors for that vocation in many ways, including through going to various conventions, competitions. You have a Clubhouse, which for those who haven't gone on Clubhouse, it's like an open room with some parameters set where the host can kind of control the dialogue, but there's opportunity for interaction, and it's audio. So that's a new social media thing. But so how did you guys meet?
Roshelle,
go first.
The networking ninja. Yeah, that would be.
I mean, if I remember right, Roshelle posted Roshelle and actually no, I'm going to let Roshelle tell it because she met Megan first. So that's where it all really starts.
Well, yeah, I think actually I want to say we started connecting around the same time on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it was like late November or December. It was either late November or very early December because we did that Christmas parody. Roshelle basically just sent me a message on LinkedIn and was like, "Hey, I love your content. I think we should be friends. And would you like to do a parody with me? And I was like, oh my God, you're super cool. Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Well, we went to an online convention because, it was still online then. And I'm like, in the chat and I'm like seeing who do I vibe with here? And every time Megan said something and it was just funny and it was sincere and it wasn't like just nothing felt contrived. And I was like, I really need to be friends with this person. So I literally, that's what I said. And I just sent her a message and said, I feel like we need to be friends.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad she did because they're like my BFFs.
Oh, yeah.
You guys seem like you've known each other for a long time.
Yeah,
I mean,
a year and change.
Yeah.
But it seems like you guys have this comfort and this natural flow of conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, even today, it's obvious, I think, to folks. And I enjoy on the Clubhouse, and I will say that you guys all have a great sense of humor. You're all incredibly talented. You're very kind the way you facilitate the conversations and help people to feel encouraged and supported. Megan, you have a sharp sense of humor that I think kind of sometimes it just like I'll be listening at work and I'm doing something, so I hear, whoa, and it's you. I have to look and see, and it's you. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's why she's the Swiss Army sound slinger.
Okay.
Megan has the quickest, funniest wit of any human I have ever met in my entire life. The end.
Yeah. The end. Unparalleled. Like, she is so fast. It's insane.
Oh, thank you guys. I'm the worst though when like I'm put on the spot when somebody's like, if somebody's like, tell me a joke. Every joke I've ever known is like gone. Or when somebody's like, do this impression that I've done like 100 times. I'm like, what does it sound like? I don't know. I'm the worst but like when we're just chatting and stuff, it's I just, people say something and I'll just think of something, or I'll just do something stupid because that's the way I am.
No, there are literally sometimes if I'm like in a bad mood, I'll think about something Megan said in Clubhouse, like on a game day. There's like a specific one, and it's not funny if I try to retell it. It was just so funny in the moment. I think I was crying. It's so, yeah, unparalleled.
So you guys are you've got major skills in a lot of ways, but being able to do these voices. I think my daughter and I joke sometimes about that scene from Shrek, do the roar. And I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it was one of the Shreks, and he was so tired of doing the roar. Like, do people come up to you and say, hey, do the DMV, do you did the thing from Polaroid, Megan. I think that was the name of the game or something like that. Yeah. Which it was very thematic.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're welcome.
that was fun. That was all. I have lines in it and stuff, but I don't know how far you have to get into the game because I did try to play it. I'm really bad at it. So, so I haven't gotten to myself, but yeah, I do a lot of screaming and crying in that one too. Or like, labored breathing, like running or, panicking, stuff like that.
Seriously, very convincing stuff.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. So, do you guys like get that like in your family, your friends? Do they bring people over and say, hey, you need to hear George sing a line from Down by the Old Mill Stream? I don't know. I'm just grabbing here.
Oh, I know that one too. That nice reference there. No, they don't, because my family is pretty sick of it by now. It's not a novelty for them. They've had to go to the shows and the concerts and the conventions and the contests. It's not new and interesting anymore after 20-something years. It just is.
Well, I think when it comes to family too, they're just like, please don't mention it or they'll never stop.
There's a bit of that too.
I know, like strangers, like if you're like conversating with someone new and they're like, oh, what do you do? And you're like, I'm a voice actor. They're like, oh my God, like do an impression of this. Or like occasionally, there'll be somebody who's like that. And but it's not often. A lot of times, mostly it's just like, what's that?
Yeah.
Or just, oh, that sounds really cool. Like, have you been in anything I've seen? And it's like,
That's the one.
no.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
Have I
like, but
heard
if
you
you
in
called that
anything?
one laser place, you'll hear me say, thank you for calling laser hair removal.
if you ever get a job at so-and-so, you will totally hear me in the training video.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do training videos. I'd love to have a good professional voice for that.
And we'd love for you to
These
hire
two are
us.
really good at that.
Thank you.
Unless there's
you.
medical words, because that's all George. I
Mhm.
don't even touch that stuff. That's complicated. I don't sound professional enough for medical stuff. They're like, God, don't let that doctor operate on me. I will die.
Oh,
Well, all right. So voice acting, when I was growing up, the only voice acting I knew, there was kind of two things. One was animation, and
Mel
then the
Blanc.
other was if there was monster movies that came over and were overdubbed. I mean, that was it. That was all I knew. And of course, there were commercials and stuff you hear on the radio and stuff like that. But I didn't think of it like that. I didn't think of acting in the way I do. And I think the thing that broke it out for me personally, was Mrs. Doubtfire, when Robin Williams was in there and they showed him living the character and everything. And there's so much that goes into it. And my daughter had a class in college called Voice for the Actor, and it was some gentleman, you might recognize him. He's been in movies. He was in a movie with famous people, and it was a good movie. I think it was Office Party or something like that. But he's this big gruff guy, and his kind of famous voice, is being a big gruff guy. But there's a lot more to it than that.
Mm.
There is, but you touched on something that's really important to that, is that you talked about the fact that he is a big, gruff guy, and his voice is a big, gruff guy. And voice actors, I'll speak for Megan and Rochelle on this one because I know they go through the same thing. They will approach us and ask what they need to do to get into voice acting, and they'll tell us, I can do all these voices. And the answer to that presently, because that dynamic could shift at some point, but presently the answer is they're not interested in all of the imitations and voices you can do. If you can sound like Sam Elliott, great. Guess what? They already have Sam Elliott. They don't have you, and they want to know what you sound like, not you trying to sound like something else. And that is one of the most difficult things for new actors to wrap their heads around, is the fact that, wait, I just have to talk like me? And the answer is yeah.
Yeah. Although I will not to, there are people who do impressions when a celebrity, either whether it's a movie or a show or whatever it is, and it's too expensive to bring them in for a pickup, so they'll bring in a sound-alike to just pick up those short little lines that, needed fixing for whatever reason. So there are people that do that, but it is kind of niche, and it's, I would say, probably harder to, really fit yourself into, because you've got to be like spot on,
And it's not like you're going to be like, oh, I do like the best Jennifer Aniston, so I'm going to make my living on impersonating Jennifer Aniston. They won't, like, there's not going to be enough work in that to sustain yourself if you're trying to actually make this your career. So, yeah. So voice matching is like cool and awesome and something you can always shoot for. But if you're trying to actually make an income, it's not a like solid block.
Yeah, I would say so. Unless you're, again, like one of those super, like you can do all of the voices and they're asking you to come in like every day, but that's so rare. It's many of us, the industry's just different now. So you have to kind of do a little bit of everything. That's why, there's commercial and explainer videos and IVR and animation and video game. There's so many things, but actors are just expected to do them all now.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the other point that I wanted to get on, that Rochelle just set up and knocked it for me, is that it is voice acting, and acting is a very strong component of everything that we are doing. Not necessarily everybody has official acting training. I certainly don't. I have stage experience, but I don't have acting professional training. But that background in performance and stage experience is pretty much the thing that carries me in any of the voice acting stuff. But there is an acting component that really needs to be in there in order to actually make it in this.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So what does that look like? Is that something where you get a script, you look at the goal, maybe it's a commercial, and you're going to be doing a voiceover for somebody that a car is driving down a road, and you're advertising the car and you're talking through it. How do you prepare for that? Or maybe you can give some better examples.
Well, it's different. Obviously, every genre is different. And even in commercials, you've got radio commercials, you've got TV commercials, you've got regional commercials, you've got national commercials, and they're all going to be kind of a little bit different in what they're looking for. Specifically, like if you've got radio where there's no visuals versus television or social media commercials, because that's a thing now too, paid placement online. They're going to be looking for different things. So right now, the most common TV or radio wise really is casual, conversational, not your typical VO. I love that one.
Non-announcery.
It's like, but seriously, like every audition is asking for this. So isn't it typical now? I don't know. But I'm such a pain in the butt. But
No, it's true. Every single audition will say non-announcery, not typical, which means they don't want you to go, I don't have a piece of copy in me and I'm not
come today and buy it at Bill's. Yeah, they don't want that. They want you to be like, hey, let's go down to Bill's and buy it today. They want that casual, like I'm telling Rochelle about this place. I'm telling George about this product. I'm talking to my friend. And it's, again, depending on the company, because the smaller the business, the smaller the budget. And that typically means the less experienced maybe the writers and the marketing department might be the owner that wrote the copy, so you may still have to be trying to deliver like on sale now, but like I'm talking to my friend because I totally talk like that to my friend.
No, right. No, and you're supposed to pretend like you're sitting in a bar talking to your best friend and trying to tell them why Pampers diapers are better than Huggies. Like,
yeah. So it really, it's so different every commercial. But that's the general vibe that is trending right now. By the time this comes out, it might be something different.
No, well, and I mean, it's been the conversational read has been a trend for a while, and so the acting comes in because you really, really do have to like get in there. Like it's not, I would imagine if I started voice acting 20 years ago, when I was a teenager, it really is. It was just easier because, you could kind of get into that voice, your professional voiceover voice, and, record stuff and it would sound great. And that's exactly what they wanted. But now you really, really, really need to exercise those acting chops. You have to visualize, you have to, but you can't move around because you can't make noise, outside of your voice. So like to be able to portray the emotion or sell the product or whatever with just your voice, and you have to emote, but it has to all come through. And so they understand on the other side, they feel it, they hear it. You're trying to make someone feel something. That's when the acting really comes in, because no matter what it is, it's a pharmaceutical commercial, it's a commercial for pizza, or it's obviously animation and all of that stuff. You've really got to get in there. But acting is so it's what we do.
For novels and so forth. So people are more, and we're on the go. We've got snippets of time. We mentioned podcast earlier, that you like some podcasts. I like podcasts. So people are changing the way they receive information, process it, and act upon it. Like you were talking about the conversational tone, which is, I guess, more authentic, more real, and I can envision myself in that. All of that to say, what will voice acting look like in 5 years?
Ask me again in 5 years.
Right?
Okay. Let me write that down.
We will all be looking for new careers when we've been replaced by computers.
That's right.
It will all look like this.
May I again?
Have a great day.
That's May I again, yes.
That's my AI version. But it could, like, in 5 years, I don't see everything going AI or anything, but a lot of stuff is going that way. Audiobooks may be predominantly AI by then in 5 years. It'll be interesting to see what has transitioned to AI. I think a lot of things will still look very similar, though. I mean, but who knows? If you ask somebody in 2018 what they thought voice acting would look like in 5 years, I bet you wouldn't have gotten an answer that matches what it looks like, because while the home studio was kind of a thing, like you were already a full-time voice actor with a home studio, and it was kind of becoming acceptable for certain genres. They were like they would let people work from their home studio, but you predominantly still had to go in studio. Now, for most of the basic things, you're doing it from home. You have to have a home studio. It's not an option, it's a requirement. Things like video games and animation still really want you dubbing. Those are still really wanting you to go in studio now that studios are back open. But and there are still commercials being done in studio and other things being done in studio, but the home studio is acceptable now, whereas before it was like if they had a relationship with you and they knew your studio was good, but in general it was still like we'd rather you come in. So in 5 years, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and it's kind of, I mean, there's a great side and kind of a bad side, because now as the actor, you are expected to invest in all of the equipment, everything you need, the sound treatment and all of that to have an acceptable studio, because it's like if you don't have a studio, you're not making any, you're not doing business.
Yeah.
That's just kind of it. But at the same time, it's also just made it more accessible for people who are not in major cities. So that's been great, because even like Netflix now will have people, if they have, the right equipment and their sound quality is approved, people can dub for Netflix from home. So I know someone, we were actually in the same thing. He's in Egypt and he got to do it. I mean, he had to do it at like 3:00 in the morning for his time. But yeah, it was just crazy to think like we were both dubbing on the same thing.
What do you guys think voice actors should do to make themselves, I guess, marketable in a year, in 2 years?
Improv.
Okay.
And coaching.
Okay.
I'm huge on like not spending money you don't have, but you have to understand that you have to invest in this in order to be successful in it. Just like, you go to college for other, degree, because a lot of people are like, oh, why should I have to spend money to do this job and stuff? It's like, well, because you spend money to do a lot of jobs. You spend money to go to culinary school, to go to tech school, to go to automotive school. Like it's the same thing. It's just that the platform is different. But there are tons of free resources out there so that you can adequately vet a good coach who is actively involved in the industry and knows what's trending in all of the genres that you're interested in doing. And I recommend anybody who's interested in voice acting in general, try genres you may not be interested in too. Like my dream, I want to do animation. I want to be characters that just, make people so happy. I want to bring people joy with a character. But I predominantly do commercials, explainer videos, like, things like that. Look into other genres. You need to have a several boxes to pull from, because it is a wave of an industry. You will have months, weeks of plenty, and then months, weeks, maybe even years of none. I've heard from some of people who are extremely successful of having 1 and 2 and more years of nothing. And then it comes back. Then they get jobs again. But it's so really doing their research and understanding what they're getting into first before they start shelling out money on making a home studio and things like that, which you don't have to buy the most expensive gear, but you need more than a USB mic. Because if you say you have a USB mic, then people are going to go, okay, and move along, because they, the home studio is now it's getting legit. So So and there are certain places that are still like, if you don't have a Sennheiser MK416, you can't have the job. Because
That happened to me
have
recently.
to have that microphone.
I had to have this microphone right here in order to proceed with a gig that I got contracted for. It's not the best microphone by any stretch, and it's certainly not the best microphone for every genre, but that is the buzz term, and that's why I have it, because for some of the things that I want to do, it's a requirement. One of the things, Megan, you touched on something really, really interesting about coaching. There are not a lot of professional football quarterbacks who do not have their own personal coaches. And the reason for that is because they are off the field constantly honing their craft, their art, their skill. What are we doing here? We are also trying to hone our craft, our art, our skill. It's a combination of science and art where voicing is concerned. And we're not always able to be objective about what we think we're doing. So that, what's the word I'm looking for? Disinterested third party is probably a really good way to get better at what we're doing. And when I say better, not necessarily being a better actor or being a better voice person, it's just a matter of taking what you have and making it more presentable for the task at hand, be it commercials or audiobooks or explainer videos or radio promo, whatever it happens to be. There are plenty of genres and plenty of coaches in all of them. It's a good place to go.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that point. Years ago, my brother went to golf school to learn how to be a professional golf instructor and got his PGA card and everything. And it was interesting. He was out in Palm Desert and he was getting involved. He's not in that field anymore. But at the time, he was starting to get into coaching. I said, well, what's your goal? And he mentioned what you said. His colleague at that small municipal, very nice one, mind you, but at that course, was coaching an unknown golfer named Mike Weir. The year he won the Masters tournament, came out of nowhere. And my brother's friend, his colleague, was his coach. And so, of course, this guy all of a sudden is like, well, what kind of coach is he? He's helped this guy win the Masters tournament. And that just opened my eyes. I went to a writer's retreat online this weekend, and there were people from all over the country and some in Canada who came to learn and to get their work critiqued. And so, we did some readings and people would share constructive feedback. And then the professionals who came on shared constructive, but also some candid stuff like, don't do that, and that was helpful to me. And I would pay again to go to have that experience.
Yeah.
Do you guys, I've just got to ask, you've got waffles on your shirts and there's waffles hanging down, George, in your thing. I would be remiss as a host if
Mine's back here.
Can you help us out here?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
You know what? I think at some point, I don't know what it was. We talked about waffles and it just became a thing. It was like early in our Clubhouse room. And for whatever reason, you know how we can go off the rails.
Yes.
Or how we have no rails.
I'm actually proud of us right now. We've done pretty good at being like professional and staying on task and stuff.
Yeah, we're like answering the question without, answering all the other questions and then forgetting what the question was.
Yep. That's us.
Yeah, no, it just came up, I think, right? And then like every time we were like, but waffles are amazing. And then it just became a thing. It was like, we are the waffle crew.
Yep. It just happened.
Well, I want to say something to endear myself to you and make you think that I'm closer to impressiveness. I was driving through Ohio and I stopped at a Waffle House, and there on the wall, Buster Douglas. It was the one he ate at when he trained to win the heavyweight championship of the world for boxing. I'm not making this up. And I ate in that restaurant.
And did you have waffles?
Yeah.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Of course.
But
if you said no, I would have been like, what was the point of that story?
Yeah. Well, I had to make sure.
I should have, you know what, next time, if there is a next time, I will say, and I also ate a waffle.
There you go. Yeah.
I gotta learn how to close it.
Right.
Speaking of, you guys have been so generous with your time. What is something that you'd like to share for people who are interested in voice acting or just are interested in you in general?
Why?
Yeah, if you're interested in me, maybe find another interest.
Yeah. You don't want to be
Get
interested
a hobby?
in me.
I don't know.
I
I am a hot mess.
This is what we do. We waited till the last 5 minutes to self-deprecate and be ridiculous.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna say if you are interested in voice acting, everything Megan and George shared, gold. Absolutely coaching. I would say don't quit your whatever brings your income. Keep doing that for as long as possible, and really, really just immerse yourself. Like you don't even have to start auditioning right away. Just you just feel it out, see what people are doing, see what they're posting, that kind of thing. I'm a big fan of like if there's a community college near you or somewhere where you can take improv classes or acting classes or be part of a community theater, do that kind of thing, because it'll just, I mean, that helps with your acting chops. So you're not just going straight to a coach and being like, I have no idea. And you'll get a broader set of skills, I think.
Yeah. That.
I can't say anything better than that.
What if people are interested in you, Rochelle?
I already
you should totally be interested in Rochelle, just so you guys know.
Agreed. Definitely.
There's nothing interesting about me.
All right. Well, let's shift to this, because you guys are very good at what you do. I know that from what I've seen and heard. If somebody out there on my vast network of LinkedIn connections in film, television, other media sources hears this and says, I need to have these three in my next project. I know two of them are interested in animation, at least. George, you may be also. Somehow, yes. I think I've seen, Rochelle, that you may have posted something online. Is that
Works, hire her. Sorry, I had a cough.
I have done, well, there's one thing that's not, it might actually not even be out until next year. Isn't it? Something exciting that I can't talk about. And I mean, really all the genres. I think most of us do pretty much everything. George also has a very exciting animation thing coming up. So,
wow.
Yeah, you can find us all on LinkedIn, and we all have websites. So if you want to hire us for dollars and you're not just like, I'm interested in you because I'm a stalker, then reach out to us. But if you're a stalker, don't.
No.
We're all pretty like we just our websites are our names. Like it's very simple. Our LinkedIn's our names, our Instagrams. Wait, no, not
Mine
George's.
has Vio.
George's well, yeah, but like yeah.
Yeah.
And George has got a slightly different name for his Instagram and Twitter, but Rochelle and I are both just our names. Very fancy, just our names.
Super fancy.
Well, yeah, you both have websites with your names and VO at the end of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you, well, I have either voiceover or you can literally just put in my name. There's not like a lot of me. Nice. I'm one of a kind, y'all.
Yeah, well, it's
actually,
like Oprah,
no, I'm not. I mean, on Facebook, there's like 4 or 5, and I was so mad when I found that out. Like,
you know what? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I want to hear you. Everybody wants to hear you.
I was just going to go off on a tangent about how I found that there is another on IMDb. There's a Roshelle Simpson, but I think she spells it with a C. And she's done other random things, and I'm like, that's not me. Okay, so just so you know.
The HBIC Egyptian Roshelle Simpson is the one you want.
HBIC, yeah. If you're looking for an official member HBIC, I'm right here. Go ahead and contact me.
Thank you, guys. Guys, I wasn't sure what to expect. I wrote up legitimate notes. I tried to do preparation. I'm just so glad to be a part of your world. And for those who are interested, seriously, in learning about how to be a successful voice actor, I encourage you to check out the Clubhouse. There's a lot of people that show up for this, and these people are very successful. And I would encourage people to check you guys out. Working Voice Actor Clubhouse.
Yeah, I'll plug our Clubhouse is like super laid back, y'all. If you want to learn about the industry without spending a dime, great place to go. There's no being on. You just come in, participate, listen, whatever floats your goat. We're very, very chill. We're really genuinely just want people to like be comfortable and feel like they can be themselves and learn and share and laugh, because that's like so important.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Please
do goats actually float?
Well, yeah.
If you put them in a floaty.
It's science. I mean,
going down the river.
This is what you can expect on Clubhouse, but like a lot more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I thought I heard something. That was amazing.
George.
Listen, seriously, thank you guys so much for making time. I know y'all have families and jobs, and I'm very grateful. All dozens of my regular listeners and even some outside my family will be very interested in this. And so
we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. I wish you the best. Megan Selke, George Nowik, and Roshelle Simpson, voice actors extraordinaire. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. We'll see you on Friday.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've got to learn how to stop.
And scene.
And
everybody just smile.
I know, I'm like, where's my camera again? It's right here.
Interesting people, compelling stories.